So, Lighthouse, PageSpeed Insight, Web Vitals, Chrome UX? What the? When it comes to measuring site performance and auditing a website, Google does not have a shortage of tools that they use. However, when it comes to understanding the data that is collected, we can separate them into two different classes: lab test data and real-world data, or basically the Lighthouse Tool or Chrome User Experience Report. Both of these tools are based on the same performance and auditing core logic. However, they take different approaches when it comes to evaluating the value of a website. When it comes to collecting lab data tests, we will use the Lighthouse tool. With this tool, we can control the environment and emulate the devices that we would like to use to measure the performance of a website. Many of you may be familiar with the Lighthouse tab that is within the Chrome browser. However, that version of the tool only scrapes the full power that the Lighthouse tool is able to do. With the NodeJS version, we are able to unlock this full capabilities, and we can control how the site is tested, what data we want to collect, and which device and network configuration that we would like to emulate. With the Lighthouse tool, we can go further and set up automated testing and auditing stacks to test our site before we allow the rest of the world to see it. When it comes to collecting real-world data, we will use the Chrome user experience. Think of this as a lightweight version of the Lighthouse tool, and this tool is triggered whenever a user is visiting one of our web pages. The tool will later send the data to Google for further examination, which then Google will examine the data for the past 28 days in order to generate a score and a report for our website. This tool is built around the Performance API, so we can set up a JavaScript application to read and collect the data and have a copy recorded elsewhere, if we so desire. However, unlike the Lighthouse tool, if you want to see the data that is collected from Google, we would have to create an app in order to fetch the data from Google's API. PageSpeed Insight and Web Vitals are best described as tools used to analyze the data from Lighthouse and Chrome user experience. PageSpeed Insight focuses more on the lab data, so of course it gets the data from the Lighthouse tool. But instead of reporting the full report that the Lighthouse tool generates, it only reports the performance metrics and I'm not going to list all the metrics that is under the performance. But basically in general, the main things that it reports is like how fast does the content load, or what are things you can use to optimize the content and the assets on the site. PageSpeed Insight does use Chrome user experience to provide a general outline on the real-world performance of your site. Unlike PageSpeed Insight, Web Vitals focus more on the Chrome user experience to understand how our users are experiencing our site. Web Vitals places great importance on content layout shift, first input delay, and the largest contentful paint, or in simple terms, does the contents on our site move around as the page is loaded unexpectedly, without any user input? And does it take a long time for our site to load? Data from the Lighthouse tool is helped to provide general guidelines as to way to improve our performance, our SEO, our accessibility, and as well as providing some better practice that we could use. Now that you have time to process all this information, let's go ahead and make a better website. One of our biggest challenges when it comes to improving our website is that we need to consider our audience and as well as how they access our website. They can be used anything from a potato rig to a custom rig that will make anyone from hashtag PC Master Race jealous, or they could be using a phone that costs $10 to a phone that costs well over $1,000. With the Lighthouse tool, we can emulate multiple devices as well as various different network bandwidth. The Lighthouse tool generates a pretty detailed report that can help show us ways that we can improve the experience for our users. One of the reasons why I like the NodeJS Lighthouse tool is that there's a plugin that we can use that will gather the Chrome UX report for our website. And with that data, we can track real-world experience and understand what our users are experiencing. Ideally, we will run the Lighthouse tool at least once a week, or after the conclusion of our project so that we can note any improvement before we make the changes available to the world. And for the Chrome UX report, we will fetch that data once a month since that data is based on the past 28 days. Before I let you go, there is one thing that we need to always remember. Just because the Lighthouse Tool said that our site is perfect does not mean our user will be having the same experience. But once we have a firm grasp of how our user is interacting with our site, then we'll be able to deliver them the best possible experience. So with that, if you come across any issues with your website or with using these tools, just remember that Google and Stack Overflow does exist, so yeah, use that. But other than that, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. While this video is just a overview of these how would I describe it? These lovely tools, I will work on videos that will do a deeper dive into each of these products. So until then, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.